Hey, everybody, welcome to TAN TV, the African American Network. We have a local field with global reach. You're watching Out of Bounds with myself, T Rex, my best friends, Lonnie with two N's, and Henry. So, we're going to get this started today, fellas. We're going to talk about what it is hate being taught in America. And so, before I start spitting game at you guys, just tell me what y'all think about that. Is hate being taught in America?
I'll be glad to address that first, Henry, if you allow me. You know, before I think about the hate, I want to think about the emotional reaction uh, that some people may be having. Is it an emotional reaction or is there fear in what they're doing? So being taught in America, yes, hate is being taught continuously. Continuously is being taught. Daily is being taught. In the homes is being taught. But now, are they trying to get us from talking about it in the schools?
I think
Truth.
so.
The
Yes, I
truth
think so.
is, let's find that out.
I agree with you, Doug, 100%, my man. I do think hatred is taught in America. And that is a sad, sad situation, man, because we need to wake up and realize, man, we're all a part of the human race. And we just got to do better. But to teach an innocent child to hate a person because of the pigmentation in his body is totally crazy. It is absolutely wrong. Like I've said before, you can take a baby and lay it down beside a white baby, an Asian baby, and a African American baby. All they're going to do is eat, cry, sleep, and use the bathroom. That's it. You know, when
That's
they
it.
get older, it is sad because they cannot live together, they can't live next door to each other because one is European American, African American, Asian American, and they're going to dislike them because of their makeup. But when you die, you can take the African American, European American, and Asian American and bury them side by side, and you just got two
That's
dead people right there. You know, it's the dash
that's
that we
very
got to
true.
do something with. We got to change. And there's a song years and years ago, a change is going to come. Is it happening?
Mhm.
Some people may think that change has occurred. Racism is a lot lighter now than it was.
Mhm.
However, I think that racism is much more greater now than it was when Martin Luther King and the Big Six was marching in the 60s. It is just done a different way. It is done on the job. It is done with the female. It is done just in a different manner than it was back in the 60s. But hatred is taught in America, yes. And that's
Well,
sad.
first, I want to say hello to Laura, and I'm going to say something. I was talking to a bunch of young children. Well, not young; they were teenagers at the gym, and it was a multi-coach group. And I'm not going to throw out the racial slurs and all the things that we was talking about. But one of the white kids said something very understanding, and he says, "We don't consider ourselves racist. We call ourselves wiggers." Now, we all know what that's a combination of. I just thought that was right now with the rap game going on. Uh, these young kids don't see color, especially like Henry and Duck both said. They're not worried about your color. They're worried about your posture as a human being. And I think that's the most important thing about it. But now I got a question for you. Okay. So I'm going to bring up some questions. You guys spit the answers back, and if you want to branch off from that, go ahead. So, hate crimes in America. Uh, where do we see hate crimes in America start in our history? We're just going to talk about history for a brief second. Uh, I can tell you the year, and you can tell me what you think it is. 1865.
Slavery.
Correct. It was the Ku Klux Klan. They wanted to bring up they got tired because emancipation was kicking in. We thought that the released slaves, the freed slaves We're going to take their jobs and all that. And I still think today, that's where the hate in America is at. I don't think it's color. I think it's economics. What do you guys think about that right there? Do you think it's color? You both say you don't think it's color. Do you think it's economics that's keeping hate alive?
No, I do think it's color. I do think color is a great part of it, man. Because you're different. Because we're different. It is because of what their grandparents and great grandparents has taught them throughout the nation, throughout time. You look at the name Willie Lynch. That name is still prevalent today, and here it is, 2023, and that was
True.
my God, years and years ago. And that is sad, man. I think it's because you walk in an elevator and a person clenches her purse because I walk in the elevator, or I'm at a red light and someone locks the doors. Now granted, let's take it both ways. There are some black on black hatred.
True.
And when I say black on black hatred, you have the lighter skinned blacks may dislike the darker skinned blacks, and that is absolutely crazy. But
Good hair, bad hair.
That exactly.
Good hair, bad hair.
Exactly.
Good hair, bad hair.
You take the African American versus the African, and my God, it's hatred. It's prevalent, man. It's running rampant, and a change got to come. Like I said, brother, that's what I say.
And I'm gonna go a little step further. That a hate crime or a person of hate is defined, from what I understand, as someone who is offended, motivated by their own biases towards race, ethnicity, or religion, or sexual orientation.
True.
The disability people with that's disabled.
Oh yeah.
And now you still got that gender or gender identification that we just got finished talking about. So people are biased in that sense, and therefore they feel threatened because they think that they are made whole, that they are different. Now, on the race issue specifically, I'm going to tell you, I totally understand that the predominantly 1865 area, all the way back to the beginning of time, you had the Europeans, whether they white Europeans, white Americans. We need to understand now that blacks were captivated in a certain area, so they tried to group you and place you in a particular arena. So when you got out, got this freedom, now you're labeled to say, now you got freedom, but now you're getting into my own territory and I feel threatened.
That's true. That is true. Well, I'm going to give you some little bit of tidbit real quick, then we'll continue. In 1882, we had our first Chinese Exclusion Act, and that was against the Chinese workers that were over here in the gold mine working, and we put a restriction on them. Immigration in 1924, Eastern Europe and Western Europe people were coming over here in flocks, but the immigration restriction only to the Eastern Europeans, not the Western Europeans. Western Europeans obviously is basically, non Asian descent. In the Great Depression, this is just what the government did. All these is everything I'm talking about right now is what the government did, because I'm trying to get you guys to think on that line. In the Great Depression, Mexicans and Mexican Americans were sent back to south of the border because of the jobs that they was holding. In 1942, Japanese Americans were put in concentration camps, or what they want to call intermediate camps to because of the war against Japan. And then in the 1954 to 1968, we had the Civil Rights Act, and that brought more violence from the southern states. So I'm gonna stop there before we go any farther on that. Let's just talk about those. What do you think about every time there was a crisis in America, the American government put a restriction on the people that can either come in America or the ones that's already in America? And that's just not, we're just talking about strictly people that had those. What do you think about that? That's my key. I want to understand why would the government do something like that?
Duck, I will bow down to you on this one first, sir.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, Terry, what you were talking about, and I'm going to have to look at it from a percentage. I'm a statistician, or by trade. I love numbers. So the percentage of non-Hispanic, when they were taking census and it was non-Hispanic whites, remember, in that time, you had close to 80% white.
That's correct.
They were considered 80% white. So each era, especially after the World War II, everybody came home. And then right there in 1980, and I'm going to move all the way up to 1980, which is after the Civil Rights, you had 60% whites in different areas. So if you have 60% whites, that threatening from 80% to 60%, they feel like, okay, now we're losing power. We're losing our handprint on the situation. We're not being able to be in control, but they also are in control of the economics. So you have now governors, senators, representatives, all which try to keep the American people today divided. And we always felt that this was one nation under God, that this was also that we felt that the Constitution was written and that the wording was also to be inclusive. So once we started being able to read and felt that we had the equality, the women, the blackness, or people in general, we wanted to be included, and we wanted to say, let's have our share. So I felt the threatening by the white person or the non-Hispanic white being threatened more and more and more. So now you have that situation.
I agree with you.
It's not good.
I'm sorry. I agree with you on that during that time frame we was talking about up to the 80s. I agree, because that was the political party's idea of putting that out there so that people will stay divided. I think the biggest problem with hate is people being ill-informed on what they're hating for. I'm not going to be negative and say that the neo-Nazis or the white nationalists or any other hate group out there that is out there doesn't have some type of validation. They just maybe need to go about it in a different way to get their message out, so that they can somehow, because they're Americans also. So their words should be heard, but it shouldn't be violent. And that's what I want people to understand. I'm not saying that because your pigmentation of your skin may fluctuate from one color to another. It doesn't mean that you not being an American fluctuates. If you here, born here, however you got here, if you're paying taxes, you're an American. So we need to figure out how to fix the hate in America, because it's being taught so much that it was. And I just want to take a quick question to say the station break. Say hello. This is TAN TV, the African American Network. We have a local feel with global reach, and we're watching Out of Bounds with T-Rex and his nukes. So we're going to continue. I don't want to get too deep into it because it's really hard. But those dates that I gave you, obviously, Duck was right when he said that was the 80%. And I feel 200% that Duck was correct when he said that, the Caucasian race probably was feeling a little bit threatened because of so many other people coming in. So obviously they let the white Europeans come in because they look like them. But I want
to say too, Terry, you brought up, excuse me, you brought up the 1800s, actually it started way, way, way before then. And I don't want to bring in the Bible or nothing like that, but man, hatred actually started in biblical time.
True.
It did. And, people hated people back then for various reasons. You had brothers hating brothers, you had brothers killing brothers, and which is sad, but, and I can't remember just then what Ducky said. I can't remember the point, what he just said, but the point that I want to elaborate on is look how diabolical people can be. And what I mean by that, they says, okay, you go out and do your own. You go out and do you. Okay. So we make a Black Wall Street. We make a Rosewood. And it is very, 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 very profitable, very, very thriving. So that someone says, oh no, I'm struggling over here, and look at Black Wall Street. How are they doing that? So let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of them. And that is diabolical, man. Then you look at certain diseases like AIDS, man, AIDS didn't start from no green monkey in Africa, so look what's in Africa. Oil, there was, and I forget the time frame, but man, there is miles and miles and miles and miles of trucks of oil that is being refined in Africa, so and granted, Exxon is a part of that. You look at the diamonds that's in Africa. Look how rich the country is. It's funny that we make a movie, Wakanda Forever, and how profitable Wakanda was. But man, that is actually, I'm not going to say it's to that scale, but it is actually true. And that's why people focused on Africa, because not just because of the blue diamond, but the diamond fields and the money and the revenue that's actually in that country. And look at the people that's there.
That is true. That is true. Well, I don't really think that, I don't really think that all hate, and I'm going to say this, is due to pigmentation of the skin. I mean, I think with the hate that we saw earlier in our history, it might have played a little bit, I'm not 100% sure, a little bit into the Nazi Germany thing. And their hate was basically, I don't know if it was religion or an ethnic background of the Jewish people, but they exterminated people just because they look like each other, they talk like each other, but because they had a different, we'll call it religion, they were terminated. It was gross. I think that when we look at the history of the world, from the slaves' history to now, America has a big part in that. Even after the Black Lives Matter, the positive thing that came from that is not just only American people got behind it, but the world got behind it. That shows everybody that the world is always watching America. And that's the key to this whole thing. I mean, we can go to we can talk about anti-black stuff like the Panthers. You know, out here in California, it used to be open carry until the Black Panthers showed up with M16s, and then right away, in the matter of months, there was no more open carry. So we thought it could be fear. I don't know what it was back then. At that time, I was still a kid trying to figure out my way in life. I think I was just in junior high, so I didn't understand it. But when you look, I'm gonna bring up something current for you guys. In Donald Trump's era, he was very, very vocal with we'll just call it the white national groups. You know, the neo Nazis, the white nationalists, stuff of that nature. That's where we start getting all these problems in far as hate. I think Sandy Hook was the first thing that I think they tried to put on mental stability of a Caucasian kid killing young people, uh, elementary school teachers and children. And I think every time the government has something that does with the minority, excuse me, the majority, they always kind of shield it behind mental health, and they still doing it today. What do y'all think about that? What do you think about? I mean, just how the government is trying to cover everything up
Well,
and put it on.
yeah. Well, one thing, brothers, whether it's going to be opposition or just somebody who's trying to oppress another group of people, it's about the fear that they have territorial. Are we thinking that we're gonna overcome? Because our theme song was "We shall overcome." And when we get powerful and united and walking hand in hand like we did, people feel fear because they know that togetherness is who we are. And we got more togetherness, and they're trying to copy what we do now. A whole lot of people in the rap games, in the music business, people know that we are a independent, self-described, and we are wonderfully made. Uh, they have some mental problems in that sense that they think that they were. And we found out, no, it's not just you. It's not just you, it's me. I am equal. I have the same rights. I have the same ability to understand and how to overcome. So when the politicians or the government start stepping in and restructuring the laws, they're trying to do it to suppress. They're doing it in all ways to keep you down, to keep you out, to be non-inclusive rather than making sure that you are being included. So, my brother, Big Frank, you come back and help me out and finish this up.
No, man. You hit it. You hit the nail on the head, man. Why I'm actually laughing, man, is because I just got a text message from a dude that played football with me from Austin P, David Walker. And man, Big Dave, just glad to hear from him. And I'm glad to see that you're on and watching the show tonight, Big Dave. But Dave had a question. He texts me and he says, can hatred be a positive emotion? I don't know about that. It could be a positive emotion. You can use hatred to I don't know, make a statement about how this is wrong, how this is not the way to go. But maybe that's something you guys can answer Big Dave's question.
I got an answer for you right away, Dave. 9/11. 9/11 took everybody from hating people for their pigmentation of their skin, and we all hated one common enemy. The service, I was at a school in Pensacola, and I was flying back, and I've never been so treated that well in my uniform. And people still today thank you for your service. I think 9/11, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, was just the answer to Dave's question. Can hate be positive? And hate was positive. For that meaning is, America was hated by the Middle East extremists and they bombed our World Trade Centers and stuff of that nature. And I think for the first time, I know in my life, I can't say in history because I don't know, I wasn't there, but there was no problem being Black. Everybody was kind and respectful to each other and courteous and respect everybody for just being an American. And I think that was the best time of America. Unless you got some other way to answer Dave's question, I think 9/11 answered his question very much. It's obviously the best thing that happened in my lifetime as far as race relations go.
I agree with you 100% there too, man, because 9/11, you had people fighting side by side, Black and white, arm in arm, Asian American, Black
Mhm.
Americans, European Americans, arm in arm. They didn't see color. And also, Dave, I also think too, man, look at our situation that we had at Austin P. We had a Filipino, a Hawaiian, Blacks and whites on the Austin Pe's football team. And man,
Mhm.
sports really did a lot to bring racism or those groups of people, those ethnic groups together, because man, we were there fighting for a common cause. We had an African American quarterback. We had African American running backs. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, those guys in the trenches fighting for each other. You know, for those 2 hours or 4 hours, we didn't see black or white, dude. We protected each other. So
Sports always is doing that ever since Bear Bryant played one of another school. I forgot the school it was. They had a couple of Black players on there, and Bear Bryant said, "We got to get us a couple of them because they whooped the butt out of Alabama." And I think if you watch in any sport, you can see that racism is, I would say, non-existent. I think the only thing about racism that I can remember in sports would be Larry Bird getting upset because the team he was playing had a white guy covering him, talking about, "You embarrassing me by having this white guy covering me. Black, put a brother on me because they can't, it ain't gonna make the game challenging." So yes, racism can be positive, but I want to bring up one other thing. What Duck brought up earlier, he was talking about hate in America. 64% of hate in America is due to your ethnic background. 15% is sexual orientation, and 14% is religion, and then the rest are all chopped up in there. I think that if you look at 64% from what it was early in America's history to where it's at right now, it's turning. It's turning. What are you guys' take on what can continue to turn to a positive thing so that our grandchildren and our young children won't have to deal with color barriers? Because I think that's what racism is: color barrier. It's just hate because of a color.
Well, you said it. You said it yourself earlier, about the younger people don't see that.
Right.
And right now, you walk in California or New York City, and you see a person that looks mulatto. You can tell that he's mixed with something or she's mixed with something. I think that is coming. That is more prevalent now, where race mixing is accepted. You know what I'm saying? It is. You still have some old school European Americans that's absolutely totally against it. You still have some old school African Americans that are totally against it. But I think it is becoming more and more prevalent to that the African American race or the European race won't be the dominant race in the very, very near future. So you already have boxes now that states other. Are you African American, you European American, Asian American, or other? They're checking the other. So it looks like everybody's froze, or is it just me that's frozen?
Everything's good. I don't know if Terry is or not. So, I'm going to go on and try this station break right now. We are live on TAAN, Tennessee. I mean, not Tennessee. What is it?
10 African American Network.
There you go, Henry. Help me out. Help me out. So, we got to always understand this, that what Terry brought up and what I'm going to bring up is almost the same thing, but we're looking at the percentage. If it was 80% back in 1865, in 1980 it was 60%. When you find a group of people that's losing their whole their handprint or their felt like their power, when you lose that, because in 20, what is it? The year 20 right now is 60%. But in
Mhm.
2043, say, what's that? 13, 15 years from now. In 15 years, they're going to be at 50% white America. The United States
That
is
is true.
50% white, non-Hispanic white America. In other words, right now, you have a group of 5-year-olds, like you were saying, Henry. That group is equal. Those kids are gonna marry each other. They're gonna love each other, and they're gonna become that other group that you were just talking about.
Do you see me?
Yes.
Can y'all see me? All right. Well, it's time to take a station break. Thanks everybody for tuning in to TAN TV African American Network. We have a local feel with a global reach. This is T-Rex with the guys here at Out of Bounds. I had a technical difficulty. I don't know what happened. I lost the internet. I can't control that. But I'm back now, and we're going to continue. Fill me in what you guys were talking about when I got kicked off.
Terry, we were just filling in on all the percentages that you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
From that area to where it was 80%, 60%. And I was just telling Henry that in 2043 it's going to be 50%. So when you're losing a group of people, it's just like everything else. There's something about extinction.
Right.
What do we need to do when animals are becoming extinct? They said you can't do this no more. They have to repopulate. Well, the white group or white America is not repopulating fast enough. Others are repopulating.
And that's a good topic, because the second thing we want to talk about is that's why the government is trying to stop abortions. That's the main reason why they talking about stopping abortions, because the population, the Caucasian population, is not doing it. And plus, with all the interracial marriage and dating, any baby that's made is going out. I don't know if we got a station break in there, but I'll give one. Hey, thanks for tuning in to TAN TV, the African American Network. We have a local feel with a global reach, and you're watching Out of Bounds with the fellas and me. So I agree with you 100%. You can't argue with that. But I think, so to wind this thing up in the 15 minutes, so when the topic of this discussion, because I promised my viewers on Facebook that I had a twist in all this, and I'm about to let that twist out. When you look at everything that's happening in America, it's because Americans are being silent, and silent is compliance. I think if everybody, if you're a single mother and you're on some kind of assistance and the government is picking on you, then you should stand together and group together. We are Americans. No matter what our pigmentation may be, we are Americans. And that's the biggest key in the world. Everybody wants to be an American. And we're sitting here trying to destroy America through hate. And I'm going to make a big, probably blunder by saying this, but I'm going to ask you guys. I think the government is the one that's producing and teaching hate. And people say, why? Right. We were all created equal, right, Lord? We was all created equal. Why is the government so busy in doing race division? And you got to honestly say it's only one reason. It's a smokescreen. Something is going on. Nobody wants to tell us what's going on. They got us so busy worrying about what's going on over here on the left and what's going on here on the right, but we don't see what's going on in the middle. So my question to you guys is, do you think the government is the biggest play in the race game? Because I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong when y'all give y'all statements. If I'm at work and there's a white guy next to me, an Asian, Mexican guy, Native American guy, more foreigners, we're all working together. Do you think we care what color each other are, or we just trying to get the job done? I don't get it. So unless I froze again, please talk to me.
Right there, I think in that particular case, I think you're just trying to get a job. But I'm going to say, you say the government, Rat. I'm going to say it started with the Declaration of Independence. Okay. And you made the statement that we're all created equal. But it is sad to say that the African American wasn't considered a man or a female at that time. And that time goes on even today. We were not considered an equal. We were considered property or animals. And slavery was designed to be for a period of time. Okay. But when everybody saw that how products was being bought in, sold, made money, and so forth, somebody sitting on the porch drinking a.
Oh God, I froze again.
Well, I'm not froze.
And that's what happened.
Okay.
And that's what happened. So I think that's why it actually started with the Declaration of Independence, man. You look how the Declaration of Independence is written and what it is saying, and it starts there. That's what I believe, man. But can it change? Okay. Absolutely, it can change, my brother.
It's going to change.
Will it change? Absolutely, my brother. It will change because it may not be a perfect situation. America may not be a perfect country, but it is the country that we have, and I think it is the greatest country in the world today. You look at some of the third world countries right now, what they're living with and dealing with and so forth. It's a horrible situation.
It is.
And I'm going to say it this way. I believe that we are created equal. Knowingly, I think we're created equally. Knowingly, I think we all have biases. Knowingly, I think we all have prejudice against different things. But now, when we need to come together, you spoke about the 9/11. You're thinking about the economics. You're thinking about the side-by-side workplace. But at the same time, economics will drive somebody into hate, whether it's within their own homes. Show me the money. We have that different things. But Hollywood, you're in California, Terry, and they say California's full of Hollywood. My mom used to say, you have a pipe dream, or you have this heavenly hope, or this sky, this out of the sky desire. So, some things people can see, some things somewhere, and some things they can't see. But when you get ready to step across that aisle and reach your hand down, and if you don't pull up somebody, you're going to push somebody else down.
That is
so. True. Is that the hate we're being taught? Keep going. You can have what you want. Pull up yourself by your own bootstraps. But that mentality is not necessarily about race. It's about economics.
That's a
And I
very
agree.
true statement,
Mhm.
Doug. And Terry, I don't
Yeah,
mean to
keep it
cut you
going.
off, but I want
That's
to say
okay.
this before you do. So please forgive me.
Go
Um,
ahead.
you said pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But man, sometimes when a person look down, he ain't got no boots on, my brother. You know, so and he has to make do with the best that he has. You know, here recently, this past week, man, we lost a leader. Um, uh, in as far as racial tensions, racial economics, and so forth. We lost a great leader in Jim Brown. You talk about
Hmm.
California, you look at what California, where I remember Jim Brown had a situation at his house and where it was full of the Bloods, Crips, Gangster Disciples, and all of
Hmm.
those groups, man. They were there at his house. Guess what? Wasn't no police around. You know what I'm saying? And Jim Brown, the only thing he said, man, don't bring your guns in my house. You know what I'm saying? Who today has that kind of power to bring the Bloods, the Crips, the Gangster Disciples together? MS-19, bring who has that power to bring that together and bring those leaders? And there's no killing today to do that. Jim
Big Bang
Brown.
got that. Big Bang got that power. Big Bang,
Well, I
Terry.
think
Big Bang got that power.
I think that power belongs to the government now. I really do, and I hate to say put myself in government hands, but Lonnie said earlier that the government's running things. Government's making the hate. The government's making sacrifice because as long as we're fighting each other, we're not watching what they're really doing. I mean, I've been saying this for years, and people don't. I know America is strong. We see 9/11 in my life, in our lifetime. We know if somebody attack America, no matter what our differences are, we're going to come together and fight for America. We know that's going to happen. I have no doubt in my mind that this is the greatest country. But I think without saying a political party, just look what's going on in Florida. Florida is trying to rewrite history to evade what slavery had to do. And I'm not saying slavery was right or wrong because that's history. We need history so that history will stop you from making the same mistake. That's what hate was history. You got the Japanese that were put in concentration camps. They want them to rewrite their history books so they don't talk about the Japanese Americans going into the concentration camps. They want to change all this because uh, America history is painful for people of color, women, and anybody else that don't stand up to the proper thing. Our news media, I'm not going to say their name, had the audacity to come on. One of their hosts came on TV and said, uh, historical black colleges graduates are dumb. And I'm sitting here looking at her and I say, now that is like the stupidest mistake in the world because the second lady in the most second person in power is a black lady from a HBCU school. So how can we be
Oprah
dumb?
Winfrey.
you know, I don't get where they say that. I understand why they say that because the media is part of the hate group. I had mentioned something a couple of shows ago about CNN, and Lonnie said you can't believe what they're saying. So who do we believe? We have to believe the American people. When you walk outside your house, I don't care where you live at in America. When you walk outside your house and you got a neighbor on the right, a neighbor on the left, neighbors across the street, do you worry about what color they are? Because 9 times out of 10, if they're your neighbor, they're probably 20,000 to maybe 30,000 different in income between you people. And it doesn't make a difference because you're all living in the same neighborhood. I've been saying it forever, and I'm going to say it one more time. The government, the media is the one preaching hate. And if you think I'm that's the twist, people. If you think I'm lying, just watch the news and listen to the government. I mean, come on. How much hatred can you be to want to beat up Mickey Mouse? How much hatred can you be to want to kick Mickey out of his own home? He's been there forever. So you got to look at it. I don't think it's white people. I don't think it's black people. I don't think it's anything. I think because you have a black person, an Asian person in a certain political group, or they're going to be that ideology. They're going to believe in what that person is saying. So when Donald Trump had a lot of black people thinking that he was going to be great. He started some of the hate. Here we go. Thanks for tuning in to TAN TV America Network. We have a local film with global reach. You're watching Out of Bounds with the fellas. So I'm gonna say one more question, and y'all can answer. Then we'll go. Do you have an answer, or does anybody give you that answer on how we can stop hatred?
Man, the only thing that I can say, man, is, you talk about your neighbor. Let it start within your house. Let it start within your home, and teaching love, and to love your neighbor as you love yourself, man. If you're going to dislike a person for something that they did to you. Don't dislike them because of the melanin count in their body or the pigmentation is higher in mine than it is in yours. Let it start with you. And we got to get back to love, man. You look at the 60s and, those people were high on drugs and peace and all that, but it was strictly about love, and that's what we got to get back to. Loving yourself first. Love yourself first, because if you got hatred in you, man, there's something that's in the inner you that you are discomfortable with. Love you as yourself, man, and then you can go out and love the next person. So I'm not saying you got to be frilly dilly with him and all of that, and having at your house every Friday night. But man, respect.
Say hello.
Respect. That's the key, man. Respect the person for what they are and who they are, and go on. You never can tell who's going to roll you in the hospital because you need a kidney, you need a liver. You don't know if that liver or kidney is coming from an Asian, an African, whatever. You got a kidney.
That's true.
You might wake up craving watermelon the next day, but there you go.
Doug, what's up with you? Give it 2 seconds. It's gonna be hard to follow that watermelon.
Oh my goodness. It's amazing, because I was driving today in Nashville, Tennessee, predominantly black neighborhood, where the marches used to take place across from Fisk University, across from the Meharry campuses, 2 historical black colleges here. On that corner, I saw 4 Caucasian men. And I'm thinking, gentrification has arrived. To myself, I just said, right? And they were walking. And I'm like, they're walking to their own homes in that neighborhood. And I'm thinking, this, man, 15, 20 years ago, that was not going to be possible. I think we have allowed, and America has actually understood, we have to live together. We have to live together. We have to respect one another.
Froze again.
In all aspects of the world, we can become one, united, indivisible, one nation.
Hey, and one question too, Doug, and it is so funny that you said that about Fisk University and Tennessee State University. I was at the Southern Heritage Classic when Tennessee State was playing Jackson State, and of course now Jackson State is out of it and they're playing UAPB this year. But Tennessee State broke the huddle and they had a white quarterback, and I think 4 people on my row says, "Man, that's a white quarterback." At TSU, they got a white running back.
Equal opportunity, brother.
There are a lot of European Americans that are attending HBCU schools, and they're going for the minority scholarship, which is cool. It's good.
I look at it like this. We're part of the Divine Nine, and every Divine Nine organization it started out predominantly Black organization, and I believe that the Divine Nine, shows that you can get along because we all have people. I know we have people of all different ethnic backgrounds, and we have people with all different pigmentations. So that's what I want to put out. I also want to put out one more thing before we say goodbye. America, don't be silent. Don't be compliance. If you see something, say something. If you want your children or grandchildren to have a better America, it starts with you. It starts with you. That's right, Lord. Respect yourself, elders, and others, and teach us to live with kindness. And that's what I'm going to say to everybody. We're going to end at it with Laura. Thank you so much, Laura. We're going to end it on that. And we're going to say, like they said, peace, love, and happiness. And I think that everybody in America deserves it, no matter where they come from or what their ethnic background or their financial status is. With that said, peace, everybody. We're done.
Peace, love, and
All right,
happiness.
guys.